Said unable to do live stream. Why? But why? Every day. Every day we do this, YouTube. You should know better. You should know better. All right, let's start our day off with some excellence. What is your excellence you want to share, talk about, celebrates?
I used your AI advice yesterday, Dan.
Tell me more.
A client was still hemming and hawing about moving down here, so I asked AI to do pros and cons, and then I knew she knew enough cons, so I just shared the pros with her. But she called and said she believes, yes, she's still moving forward with coming down. But that was an interesting exercise. I just gauged it or presented it as I thought you might appreciate a third party perspective on, moving here. So
I love that. Provide different points of view. That's what it's all about. La Jolla, I talked to the owner of the company that we're working with, BrokerBot, and sent him Jenny's contact information. And he is open to giving you guys the demo too. So go ahead and bug her. At a minimum, I think it'd be a great thing for you elite agents. I think you're both in the elite group, right?
I am.
You are, not Fabi. She hasn't. We gotta
She's
get
on
Fabi
the
there.
I'm not on the elite group.
Not yet.
I know.
Okay. Kind of a disappointing turnout yesterday. I think there was like only 7 people in the BrokerBot class, and it's fantastic opportunity to help you guys out. So I'm glad to see Mara used some of the AI conversations yesterday. That's awesome. The more you use it, the better you get. The better you get, the easier things go. Hello, Jim. Hello, person in the background. I can't quite see because you're so small on my screen. Other wins, celebrations.
I have been going through a shit show of a transaction, and I thought on Monday I was going to have to sue and force a sale, but we're actually going to close tomorrow. So that was a surprise.
Well, that's
So I'm doing my final walkthrough today. So
awesome.
tomorrow. No,
Tomorrow.
I'm doing final
Tomorrow.
walkthrough today, closing tomorrow.
Walk through today, close tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, good. I am super glad it came to. There's been a lot of those lately. I've seen deals that we have to kind of push across the finish line. Sellers are reluctant, buyers are reluctant. Something's happening. It's like, dude, just stop. Stop the madness. Just make this deal happen. You wanted to sell it. You got a contract. Now let's sell it. Okay. Other wins, celebrations before we jump into our content for today.
Got 2 listings off the fence yesterday.
Jim got 2 listings off the fence. And Fabi, what you got?
Presenting some off-market cash offers to a seller today
Ooh.
and hoping to get the relist.
Heck yeah. Fingers crossed for you, girl.
Yeah.
Things are moving. Things are strange. So, all right. What's the most important thing we could talk about today? What conversation, topic, or objection you guys want to work on collectively to make you better, stronger, and sharper? Interesting.
Hmm?
I like it. I like it. Good. Well, Wednesdays, I like to talk about objections because I think they're the most important questions that we need to learn how to answer and ask quickly. Why would somebody sell right now with all the uncertainty in the stock market and the economy?
Because interest rates are low and everybody else is on pause.
Okay. Interest rates, Christina and Jim both nailed that one. People are on pause. Can you articulate that correctly to a seller or a buyer? What does that mean for me?
I utilize discovery questions to let them articulate it to themselves.
Very good. Jim comes from a coaching environment, so that is totally understandable.
What's a discovery question that you've recently used, Jim?
I was waiting for that. Thank you, Fabi.
Well, Fabi, what is it about the interest rates that has you and you and your spouse waiting?
We're hoping that they come down. They're just too high right now.
So if they come down, are you assuming that it's going to make your payment more affordable? Is that the objective?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that monthly payment very
Side
closely.
note, that wasn't a discovery question. That was a yes or no question.
Oh.
But so if interest rates came down to a level that you would be comfortable with your monthly payment at, would you guys be ready to move forward?
Yeah, I think so.
Or
That
something
was
along the lines of
sweet.
what is a monthly payment you guys would be comfortable with?
About 2,800.
Okay, so if we find you the right home around 2,800 a month, regardless of interest rates, would you be ready to move forward or something along those lines, right?
Mhm.
I'm helping them overcome their own objection. Not using their answers against them is a bad way to say it, but helping them self-discover via discovery questions a solution to their problem.
I
Also,
like that.
what does that do once the interest rates drop? What's that going to do to the housing prices? They usually are in, one will go down. That means the other one's going to go up, typically.
Well, interest rates go down, prices go up.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Orange.
Omaha.
You understand the principle that, yeah, interest rates come down and prices go up, but do you know why? You have to be able to explain the why. Why?
It's
Because all buyers come on the market at that time and it increases the sales price.
Again, please, Lydia.
Because all buyers who are waiting for the interest rates to go down come on the market and it increases the purchase price.
Yeah, it's simple economics. It's supply and demand. Buyers are waiting for interest rates to come down. When interest rates come down a significant amount, more buyers are going to enter the market. And when more buyers enter the market, what does that do for demand? Right now, in each of our markets, do we have a surplus of inventory or a lack and scarcity of?
Scarcity. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Some people are saying up. It's up, right? Well, in reality, no, we're still in a huge deficit. We're in like a 6 million home deficit nationally.
I'm in the wrong neighborhoods then because we got a lot of options. Sounds like
Yeah, but that's the thing is we're micro. We got to be micro focused. But we look at the global and the government saying, "Oh, we're in a housing crisis. There's a deficit." That's not every community. In La Jolla, they're still getting multiple offers. In Northern California, they're still getting multiple offers. In Tucson, they're getting multiple options. Right? You want to buy this house or the other 43 that are like it? Did your doggy just hit the dash? That's so sad. That's why you put on your seatbelt, pup.
Just seen a brake
not
check.
even my dog. It's my neighbor's dog that's here for a play date to hang out for the day because they're both out of town and he gets really bad anxiety. Like he's already shaking.
Yeah, your dogs are smart enough to put their seatbelts on. Of course, the neighbor's dog wouldn't know that. So here's the questions to be primed with, right? Understanding how will tariffs affect home prices? Is now a good time to buy with the stock market volatility? What if the market crashes after I buy? Okay. How do interest rates impact my buying power?
Or I'm going to wait until the market crashes.
Right? What if I lose my job and my financial situation changes? Is that not a huge concern for buyers right now? That the uncertainty around it is uncertainty in employment.
I had that conversation yesterday.
Right?
The other conversation I had yesterday too was they have green cards and they don't want to raise any, red flags or put themselves on any kind of radar due to the current political climate.
I mean, the green card, that's a visa. That's a legal license to be here. That's not administration's after.
Right. Exactly. I know.
Yeah, I'm third generation US. Like, I haven't been here my lineage is not of the hills. We came over in boats, okay? But there's a legal license to be here, and that's not a concern. Use that, buy a house. Boom. Right? How can I make sure I'm getting a good deal? A lot of people are going to want to know that, right? I'm waiting until I can get a good deal. It's one of my favorite objections. Oh, I just want to make sure I get a good deal. Anyone else heard that lately? So let me ask you, what's a good deal?
Credits.
Did you think it was a good deal in 2020?
Oh, like the thing is, tell me what's a good deal. I love the conversation train around that. I'm just waiting for a good deal. Well, how long have you been looking? A couple years.
Yeah.
Okay, when did you start looking for house? Oh, back in like 2019, 2020. I was like, oof, what did it cost you to wait so far?
Amen.
Boom. Emotional question. Comes from curiosity, right? What it cost you to wait so far. But then it gets them thinking about the things that are like, oh crap, you're right. I did lose money waiting. Right. I love this one. This is a great one for you guys to all understand. Why would I work with an agent buying a house when I can just buy it on my own or just sell it on my own? Especially in a tumultuous environment where costs and fees are hyper, insulated in the deal. So it's like, oh, let's save 6% by selling it ourselves, not realizing that you don't know how to negotiate to a twig, and the wolves are going to come out and eat you up.
Have you ever sold a house on your own, Dan?
I have.
Not you, I was role playing.
Me too.
Oh, how'd that go for you?
I mean, pretty simple. I just sold it to my neighbor. We moved out of town.
Well, that was
I
pretty
share that with
convenient.
clients
That
too.
seemed like it was easy.
What was that, Christina?
Oh, I said that sounds like it was pretty convenient and easy.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think the odds are that you're going to have another neighbor that wants to come in and buy your house right off the bat?
I mean, we'll see. I've got a neighbor now that's interested.
Great. Have you guys talked about what you'd sell it for and how
No.
all that's going to shake out?
Not yet. We just started thinking.
Great. Do you think it makes sense to have somebody in your corner to go through all of that and negotiate to try to get the best rate for you to make it another smooth transaction so you can deal with everything else you need to deal with?
I negotiate corporate contracts for energies. I think I'll be okay.
Well, you're definitely a step ahead of the competition, that's for sure. Sounds like your job is pretty important and time consuming though, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, would it be beneficial for you to have somebody that can take the rest of this stuff off your plate for you?
Maybe.
Okay. So if they did, what would that look like for you? What would that extra time free up? What would you do with that?
Which question do you want me to answer? You just asked me 4 of them.
All of them.
I love your line of thinking. But go here. Is there pain that we can exaggerate?
I like Christina's questions.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
even
me
know.
too.
We don't even know what pain is there. Why are you selling the house in the first place? Go to motivation. Right? Your time is valuable, your efforts are valuable, right? So what is it about not hiring an agent that you're looking for? Oh, we're just trying to save money. Okay. What's important about that, 3% that you're going to save? What do you mean 3%? I thought it was 6. I was like, oh, you haven't heard about the NAR changes, have you? No, I haven't. Well, there might be some other things you haven't heard about. It might be a good idea for us to get together for 15 minutes and discuss it. You available this afternoon, or would tonight be easier? You're never going to win against getting someone to agree to use you because you're valuable. But you will get someone to agree to use you when you find a hole in their defenses that they don't know, and you can just widen that hole right back up. Oh, that's awesome. You know what? I had a friend that sold the house to their neighbor too, and it actually turned out they left about $50,000 on the table because both of them didn't understand what the market value was. I hope that wasn't your situation.
What about the source to source? According to the National Association of Realtors, people that sell their homes on their own leave about 12% on the table.
Well, Jim, I'm not average. I know what I'm doing. I've got a master's in psychochemical engineering.
with your 6 kids from 5 different moms and the
Yeah. You guys
And a
remember
wife who writes smut books or something like that. What
smut
was
novels. Yeah.
my wife that writes fantasy books?
it? For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, this is an inside joke from another call.
But here, that's what I love. Christina was going. You're asking some questions. You're finding out some things, right? Points of value: saving them time, serving them better, getting them the most money for their house. Those are the 3 points of value that you're looking for, right? She can pin on the time. She did a great job of sniffing out the time real fast. It sounds like that job's pretty important and pretty time consuming, wouldn't you say? Yeah. Well, great. What would it do for you to leverage off all that time you're going to spend trying to get the house under contract? Boom, move into that. Love that. But we don't have a motivation. So seek for motivation. Out of curiosity, why are you selling the house in the first place? I mean, that's kind of the biggest question we need to answer in any situation. Well, out of curiosity, why are you buying a house? Okay, well, you're so concerned about working with an agent, you don't even know if you want to buy or sell yet. Well, let's talk about that first. What would buying a house do for you? When you ask good questions, you can get them thinking. And like Jim said, you get them to self-discover. Let's take a survey of everyone on the call. Do you like to be told what to do? Or do you like to just figure it out on your own? Like you just like to, you know what? My room's dirty. I need to get it clean. Versus coming in and saying, hey, clean your room. Which one?
Self-discovery. I need to clean my damn room.
Most people are on our own. We don't like to be told. We don't. We like to make decisions. We love to use our own brains to make a decision. One of the easiest ways to lose motivation with me is if I'm already doing a task, you come in and tell me to do that task. I could be elbows deep in the sink and my wife says, hey, can you do me a favor and do the dishes? And I will fucking stop what I'm doing mid doing dishes and walk away because I'm like, you know what? You do them. Can't you see I'm already doing them? Like, but that just triggers that infantile animal in our brains. Just don't tell me what to do. But if my wife's like, hey, can you bring me a spoon? And I go get a spoon and she knows the spoons are all dirty because she's a crafty little book writer. And I go and I'm like, oh, there's no spoons. I should probably wash the spoon real quick. You know what? While I'm washing this spoon, I should just wash them all. Now we have spoons. Boom. And my wife says, oh, never mind. I don't need a spoon anymore. But hey, thanks for doing the dishes. The funny thing is my wife will never hear that because she doesn't like my morning calls and it's way too early for her to be up watching these. So if you guys want to share this little snippet with her later, I will hunt you down and I will beat you with a rubber hose.
I was going to say, good thing it's not on YouTube.
Not like it's live recorded and shared. But that's the thing. We do the same thing with buyers and sellers, right? We ask them questions to align them with the end result that matches their motivation and ours. We can look at this business as profit, right? We get paid to do what we're doing. And that's okay. There's too many people out there that are like, well, I don't want to talk about me getting paid. No doctor out there goes, I wonder if I have to work for my paycheck today. No, they're like, I'm a doctor. You have to need me. That's why there's an arrogance to them. I just think keep the arrogance out. Go concierge. I will do everything I can to make this as easy as possible to serve you better, to save you money and save you time. Boom. Ask questions. Next, you should know what the current trends in the local market are, like we talked about a second ago. Is inventory up? Is inventory down? How is that going to be affected by an increase in buyers or a decrease in buyers? Yes, interest rates goes down 1%. Huge change in interest rates. But now we have another 15 million people without jobs. Is the buyer pool really going to go down?
Maybe.
Really go up? We don't know. You don't know. You're going to need to know what's happening in your local market. That's important. In local market just isn't your city and state. It's your zip code. It's your neighborhood. It's the area you service business the most. And I love this question. I get this often. Sellers are how can I make sure I maximize my return? How can I make sure I increase the value of my home before I sell it? Do I need to put in this or do I need to change that? Do I need to do this? Anyone ever had a seller ask them about a bunch of work they wanted to do before they sold? And it's stuff that doesn't add value.
Like fences.
I had a seller that wanted to repave the driveway.
Let's put solar before we sell it.
Yeah, don't do that. Absolutely.
Don't do that.
Solar's a no-go. But I did. I had a seller. It's $1 million property. It's got a 500-foot driveway. And they're like, I think we want to get the driveway repaved because it's got some cracks in it. And I'm thinking to myself, when I drove in, I didn't see any cracks. I didn't feel any cracks. And I'm like, you know what, guys? I don't think that would be necessary. I don't know a single buyer that would say, well, I'm not buying this house because there's cracks in the 500-foot driveway. It's Tucson, Arizona. There was a crater in the road on the way into the house. You drove through 63 potholes to get here.
I was gonna say, what if the house is close to that value and then the road is garbage?
Well, then if the road is absolute garbage and in non-terrainable, terraceable,
Reversible?
traversable, that's what it is. Non-traversable. It was there. It was right there. Non-traversable, then that might be a conversation. You guys have a beautiful house, beautiful views. It's lovely. It's just really hard to get to.
Yeah, that's the case with one of my upcoming listings. And then obviously asked them, looked into it. It's maintained by the city. So I'm going to look into, because they put out that whole transportation plan. And like most of the parts of town have forecasted already when the repairs are going to be. So at least we could speak to it and say, hey, it might be crap, but guess what? It's going to get totally redone on X date.
Right. Let's go back to number 8 on that. Understanding your market, right? Is that not 100% knowing what's going on in the areas affecting the possibility of selling your house? My wife is the only person I know of that was finicky about a driveway because she doesn't like pitched driveways. She likes flat driveways. It just makes her, it weirds her out being on a super, like some of the houses have like 30-degree driveways. So that, like for her, the driveway can have a crater in it. It can have a meteor hole in it as long as it's flat. But like this seller, I walked him out there. I said, walk with me. Show me what you're talking about. Show me what you're thinking. And then we looked at the cracks in the driveway. And I said, guys, these are normal. You don't have to redo the whole driveway. If you're worried about the cracks, get an asphalt company over here just to do some asphalt fill. Instead of thousands of dollars, well, it's probably still thousands of dollars. Instead of tens of thousands of dollars, it's only ones of thousands of dollars. I heard something the other day, it made me laugh. And it's a kid said, that cost me tens of dollars. And I will never forget that. So every time my kids break something, I'm going to tell them that. That broom cost me tens of dollars. It happened to be
it's that Common Core math.
Yeah, 1 point. I think that's what it was too. It makes total sense. Common Core math. I never heard it before, but it made me smile and laugh, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. And lastly, what are the risks? Right? Help me understand the risks. What happens if I buy a house and the market goes to crap? What happens if I buy a house and the economy goes to crap? Let's talk.
Dan, what's the most dangerous time to jump off a roller coaster?
At the top.
When it's flying down a hill.
I would argue it's at the top because that's the highest. That's where you're going to hurt the most.
Of course you would argue it. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
Well, how long are you planning to live there?
Great question. All right. What other questions? Again, guys, ask discovery-based questions so that we're not just giving out generic treatment to symptoms we haven't identified. What are the risks of buying a home in an economic climate as today? Okay. Well, what do you do for work? How closely tied is that to the current economic crisis? Right. I work for the CDC. Okay. Government funded crisis center, right? Kind of serious, kind of important, also kind of on the chopping block. I work for a private equity firm that handles military contracts and oil transportation.
When you said CDC, my brain immediately went to California Department of Corrections. I'm like, that's pretty secure, Dan.
Oh, no, yeah, so good. Law enforcement, medical, are those going anywhere? If it's something that's going to be volatile for the market, oh, I'm a day trader.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm a realtor.
Maybe don't buy something, right? I'm a real estate agent. Probably don't buy something. I'm a butterfly wrangler, and my wife is milks caterpillars, right? We're looking for a house at $1.6 million in Canada. So
And you both work from home, right?
yeah, we both work from home, part-time.
Love it or
You sound
list
like, you
it.
sound like a house hunter show.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, guys. Asking those questions is, what are the risks of buying this? We all have an idea that pops up. What are the risks of buying in this status? Well, you could lose your house, the values could go down. But that's the thing, is we don't know if those statements are going to be factual to that person.
Right.
Well, what happens if I buy a house and the market crashes? Well, how long are you going to live there? I don't know. I have no plans on moving. I'm going to live here forever. Well, then it doesn't matter. Like, you've just established what your thing's going to be. Well, if I buy it, what happens in the interest rates? Just belly out. You can look into possibly refinancing in a couple months. I'm not saying you can. I'm not saying it'll be an opportunity for you. But I can tell you that at 6.5, if they go up, great. You're locked in at 6.5. If they go down, you may have the potential for something better. But you always know the worst case. And now all we have to deal with is insurance and taxes going up. Well, I'll just rent then, because then that's a fixed amount too. Fantastic. You can rent too. But then you just add one more variable, and that's the seller. The landlord then has decision making over your property. And that's kind of scary. Because what happens if they don't pay the bills? You still get kicked out, and you have no equity to show for it. But ultimately, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Seller, whatever, I want to make sure that we discuss what's important to your goals. So why do you want to buy a house? What is that going to do for you? What is it about selling the house as a motivator to have this conversation?
Well, and if the market tanks and rates go really low, refinance the house you're in, make that a rental, turn around, buy another one at bottom dollar and live in that one.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We might position yourself to be a multimillionaire here in the next 5 years in real estate. Are you ready? Kristen Cole tells a story, and I'll end on this, where she sold a house for $250,000. This is, I don't know what year it is. She sold it for $250,000, and 3 years later, bought it back for 25 grand. That is huge. So we can all predict what's going to happen with some modicum of certainty based on what we already know. But none of it means dog water if we don't know how to parallel that to what's important to the client. Is the market going to crash? I only plan on living here for 3 years. Then don't buy anything. Rent for 3 years. Don't put yourself in risk. If you're going to be here longer than 3 years, then let's talk about why renting and selling may not have the most advantageous opportunities. Because right now in Tucson, you can rent cheaper than you can buy.
Well, and like you said, discovery questions. Like I had someone the other day that stopped by a new build house I was holding open, and they were with their daughter. She has a job at Raytheon, so like good job. She's going to look to buy in the next couple of years, but she's not quite ready. So the parents were like, well, why don't we buy something and you can rent it from us? And I started talking to them, and I always ask the question, do any of you qualify for any VA funding? And he said, well, yeah, I have VA, but it's already tied up in our first house. And I said, you know, you can use it more than once. And he said, oh, I didn't know that. So then I asked him how much, if he didn't mind me asking, how much was your house when you bought it? And we just did some quick calculations. It's like he has so much more buying power with zero down with the rest of his VA loan. I mean, it's a grown ass man that already owns a house, knew nothing about this.
You'll be surprised to find out the amount of information people don't know because no one's talking about it. You think a lender wants to go out there and talk about VA stuff? They don't make huge money on VA loans. They don't. So, good questions, good responses, good situations. All right, guys, remember, no 0 days. Hopefully today's the win. Thank you for showing up. Was today worth your time? To 4 of you it was, including me.